First up, we're gonna do a couple of comic reviews. I think we're gonna be talking about a few things, but the first one we're gonna talk about, thanks to our friends over at IDW, is gonna be something that I wish Josh was here for, because he's the big nerd about this. Although I don't know, Jeff, how do you feel about the Rocketeer?
I really enjoy the Rocketeer. I was a big fan of the movie. That was my first exposure. I mean, like I knew of the Rocketeer as a comic book property,
Yeah,
but I never really read the Rocketeer until just recently. But I love the movie. I've
we
read the
we right before you, maybe a few months before you hopped on the first time, we had done a Rocketeer movie watch along, or not a watch along, just like a movie discussion, because I had never seen it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, it's pretty fun. I love
Yeah, it's
seeing John Locke from Lost as Howard Hughes. That's pretty fun. And
uh, the crazy
yeah,
thing about the Rocketeer is it's created Dan Stevens. I don't remember. Dave
mhm,
Stevens is the creator.
yes,
Created him in the I think the 80s, but he did such a good job of making him feel like a pulp character. In my
oh yeah.
brain, this guy's been around since the 40s, even though he hasn't.
It definitely feels
And the
like this
fact,
came right after Detective Comics or something, right?
yeah, yeah. So as I was flipping through this, his girlfriend is based on Betty Page. I don't know if she actually has a name. Like her name is Betty in the comic, but I tried to look this up in a hurry. I didn't spend very long on it, but I
She doesn't
couldn't
have a
find the last
surname.
name for Betty in the comics. Um, but yeah, all of that just goes to me like firmly believing that this is like an old school 1940s pulp hero, which I think is what is kind of charming about the character. Is that there's not a lot of superheroes in this world. It's just him, and
Yeah,
he's kind of like this super
I
marvel that people kind of like are like, "Ooh, it's this guy."
follow me here. I hope this makes sense. I equate the creation of this character and by Dan Stevens as kind of like when Quentin Tarantino makes a film, that it's gonna feel like super authentic to whatever he's trying to do, just because he's such a fan of that thing, right? I feel like
Yeah,
this creator was such a fan of those pulp comics from back in the day, that's why it feels like it just feels authentic, and like it really
yeah,
works. So
totally.
okay, well,
This book is great. Yeah.
so let's talk about the creative team real quick. Uh, so the Rocketeer breaks free number one and from IDW by Dave Stevens. I don't know. I kept saying Dan Stevens because of the actor
Yeah, I
from
do the
Legion.
same thing in my brain. I'm like, it's
Uh,
something.
Different people though. Different people. Maybe not. Maybe the same person. I don't know. But this comic itself is got a story by Stephen Mooney, who I believe has been doing the Rocketeer for a little while now, with art
Mhm.
by Staz Johnson, colors by Len O'Grady and Marco Lesko. You can see here the page breakout, and letters by Sean Lee, who pretty much letters everything over at IDW, if I'm not mistaken. Um, this is a new series premiere. I believe this is a mini series. In this series, the Rocketeer storms the city by the bay. That's San Francisco, for those of you not paying attention to the cover. With Betty about to start work on a new film, Cliff and Peavy join aspiring starlet on a trip to San Francisco where they liaise with a fellow pilot and friend and government operative, Devi Seville. I don't know why that's in parentheses. Maybe it's supposed to be a secret from them. As always, trouble seems to follow Cliff, who gets caught up in a cable car accident, but at least it'll be smooth sailing after that, right? Not if the Rocketeer's luck stays true to form. This is going to be a 4 issue miniseries. So, Jeff, what did you think of the Rocketeer breaks free?
I really enjoyed it. So it looks like this picks up after the last little mini series. I think the last three have kind of been their
Follow ups?
own stories, but they all kind of lead into the next one. Not that there's an overarching story; it's just that's just the next chapter kind of thing.
Yeah, the Rocketeer, the Great Race, I believe was the last one.
Hmm. So in the last book, which I did read, he kind of promises Betty that he's going to try to give up being the Rocketeer just so they can focus on their lives. And that's kind of where this one picks up, where he's still kind of the Rocketeer behind her back a little bit. Uh, but they're trying to. It takes place over during Thanksgiving time, uh, which would have been fun, I guess, if they had released this a little bit later. But comics are done when they're done.
I mean, maybe
Uh,
the fourth one might come out by Thanksgiving, so
yeah, that's true. Um, yeah, that's true.
or the trade.
So or the trade, yeah, they're always publishing. They're pushing for the trade. Uh, yeah, so they go to the friends to visit for Thanksgiving, and things just the way superhero things happen, and he's got to go off and be the Rocketeer again. Um, but yeah, it's really fun. It's just good old fashioned actiony pulp comics is what this is.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It begins like that. I mean, you can see here from the first sequence.
Hmm.
The Rocketeer, he went into some kind of gangster hideout to take all their guns, take out their operations, whatever. Like that's usually the story, right? The hero is trying to break up some kind of criminal empire. Because in these pulp stories, it's not really about. There's a few things that get a little bit more sci-fi or more supernatural, but like the
Hmm.
pulp of it all really is like just crime stories.
Yeah, it's
And,
usually good
and
guys versus bad guys. That's all there
that's
is
right.
to it.
And I love this, like the Rocketeers being pinned down by like 10 dudes or something. And of course, they don't know how the rocket works, so they let him keep his hand free. You can see that here in the panel, which I love the
Hmm.
attention to detail here, right? Yeah, we got him clipped down. Well, that's not how the rocket works, you dumb. Yeah. So man, I was about to go off on that guy. Like, you idiot. That's not how the rocket works at all. So he's able, and I love that. That's how you introduce it, right? He breaks free, literally, and then also in the story. So
As I was reading this, I would be like, I would definitely carry around knives if I were the Rocketeer.
yeah,
Like I
something
would
or a shield or
something, yeah,
definitely a
something
shield.
that's
This feels like he just flies into bullets a lot.
yeah, something. Well, I also feel like he could like swoop down and cut stuff,
Yeah,
with a knife kind of thing.
your
Uh,
Rocketeer sounds a lot more savage than the Pope
it's a
comics.
little bit more savage. I was because yeah, he doesn't do. I mean, sometimes he has a gun with him,
The
but
Savage Rocketeer. That's gonna be Jeff's first debut into comics.
we need a dark Rocketeer. Yeah,
Oh,
but
let
yeah,
me see
this is
that
this is
Zack Snyder
just
Rocketeer movie.
hmm can't wait.
Oh,
Um,
dude, he would take forever to take off in the slow mo.
you would see like the rocket would ignite and little pebbles on the ground would start bouncing up and
Like
down.
that Superman sequence where he first learns
Yeah.
to fly, and then for some reason there's a flashback to the Rocketeer's parents dying, even though that's not the story.
Yeah. There's all this like black and white footage of birds taking off for the first time, stuff like
I
that.
will
Just
say
intercut.
the color palette that Zack Snyder prefers definitely fits the Rocketeer aesthetic a lot better too. Because
Yeah,
it's
it has
like
a
that graded down, darker colors, which
kind
would
of
make this feel
tinty.
very puppy. Damn, now I talked myself into a Zack Snyder Rocketeer movie. But all right, let's keep talking about breaks free.
Now Josh is really gonna be upset that he wasn't here.
Yeah,
Um
I hate this part of the episode.
the other good thing that the Rocketeer comics have is that they're really character based. There's not a
Mhm.
lot of action that happens. There's enough to get you through an action comic.
Yeah.
But it's really about this one definitely focuses on the relationship between Cliff, who is the Rocketeer, and Betty, his girlfriend.
Who's
Honestly, it
pretty
kind of reminds
upset.
me of
She's upset, but she
early.
understands, right?
It kind of reminds me of Peter and MJ.
Yeah.
Honestly. So
Yeah.
it gives that kind of vibes.
Yep. I like this. I like the premise. I like that they it's all about kind of going on vacation.
Hmm.
I think was there a little cartoon that the Rocketeer did recently? Maybe it was another pulp character. I feel like they just released something animated that kind of feels like this. Maybe it was DC doing some pulpy stuff. But yeah, I like it. I like that. I want to know more about their friend who's a government agent.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't know that going into this. I just figured she was a friend of Betty's. Um, so that adds a neat layer now that I read the synopsis.
I wonder if this is technically a Disney property because they own the movie rights, I believe, to
Yeah, they have a
Rocketeer.
series on Disney Plus that's very different. That's more of a kids thing, but
Oh,
it
that
is.
did come out. Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah,
look that up.
yeah. So you're right. It may be, maybe IDW still has the comic rights, but or who knows? They could be licensed out to different things depending on the medium.
Yeah,
Um, so nice. All right, Jeff. Anything else you want to say? Do you like the look of the Rocketeer in this book? I think Johnson does a really good job.
yeah.
Just giving
The artwork's great. I mean, it's classic Rocketeer look. They've never changed his look really. Um,
the Rocketeer
yeah,
really is one of those things that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right? Like there's no need to change his aesthetic. Uh,
right, 100%.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't. I wouldn't touch that design at all. I wouldn't
yeah.
change the helmet. No, it's just too for a character that's not like super well known. I still think it's too iconic to
Right,
mess with.
right. Nice. Okay. Well, thanks again to IDW for sending this out. We'll keep trucking along, even if we don't talk about this weekly or monthly. We'll probably. I'm sure Josh will eventually read this because he, like I said, he also really enjoys the Rocketeer. So maybe
Mhm.
we'll do like a full, maybe when the miniseries is out or the trade, maybe we'll revisit this on the
And the
show.
Rocketeers are like the comics are good, solid comics. Like they're good,
Yeah,
solid. Like they're not gonna blow your mind or anything like that. But they're like I mean they're better than
they're
like
entertaining. They're
yeah.
fun. And you
They
never,
don't drag.
I don't think I've ever read a Rocketeer comic and then I'm like, this was kind of a waste of time. Like I
Yeah,
always get something out of it, or like I said, learn a little bit more about the lore, or revisit something that I really enjoyed. So
yeah.
yeah, and go watch the movie. It's pretty fun. It should be on Disney Plus too. Um,
Honestly, I think the only thing that keeps the Rocketeer from like really blowing through is he doesn't have like a large or well-known like villains gallery.
right, right.
I feel like if you were to give him like Dick Tracy villains where they're like super cartoony or whatever, like gangbusters.
Now I really want that crossover.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa, and they both have comics now. I think the Dick Tracy series is pretty insane over at is it? I want to say Mad Cave, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not
We did
sure.
read that first
We did
comic.
read that first
It
issue.
was pretty nuts.
Pretty wild.
Dark Dick Tracy.
Nice. Okay. Well, to close this part out, some Rocketeer covers. Very nice.